My name's Paul Hartley. I'm director of an arts organisation called Situ. We're based in Pendle, and we're predominantly just an artist-led organisation that works from Brayfield, based in a library, and exploring just the role of artists in communities today, really, and what we bring to everyday life. That's kind of one of his things. This is Brayfield Mill, or Northlight Mill as it's now called. It's a mill that's going to be developed in the very near future, and we've been doing all sorts of events while it's an empty space. It's a bit of a playground for artists and communities to play in, and that's what we've been doing. And one of those things is to create a pop-up cinema. Yeah, so Brayfield is a town in Pendle. It's a town that has suffered from some of the economic decline. The mill that we're in now used to employ sort of 2,000 people. It's the reason why the town exists, and it closed in 2007. So alongside lots of other industries that have kind of wound down, it's a place that's suffering from that a little bit. We've got very diverse communities as well in Brayfield. So we have the white community that live here, and then we've had a Muslim community that's lived here from the sort of the 50s. And so it's an interesting place to work in terms of its challenges, but also this kind of a rich history of what's gone on, and the people that live here give it a real character that we're interested in working with as artists. The first thing we want to try and do is to get people interested in getting involved, really. So we created a poster just to create a call out, because the idea of actually building a cinema was something that we needed volunteers for. We were given this space in the mill to do that, so we got the posters out there and we got people interested, and interestingly we just found people from all different avenues, really. Just a small group initially to get it going. And locally there's one guy, Steve, who in the 70s, when he was a school teacher, used to run a film society back then, and had all sorts of interesting stories about how he used to pick film up from the train driver on a Friday, ready to take back on a Monday. So we kind of got a mixed group of people who've interested or just wanted to get involved. The idea of creating a cinema, we've created a space to do it. It's a bit different than just doing pop-up ones in other venues. But what seems to be happening is that we've got, we're now working with groups in different ways for them to use the space how they want to do it. So as well as us doing screenings with our volunteers, other groups are kind of coming to use the space. So the LGBT group are going to do a screening, working with a group of of Asian mums who want to do something for their community, and a group of young people as well are going to do something of their own. So we've got a small group of volunteers that have created the space, and then we're sort of enabling other groups to take it. And the big issue, which is partly why any of this is working, is that there's just no local cinemas in this town anymore, and it's about kind of bringing that back for people, and it seems to be capturing people's imaginations again. Our first event as a pop-up cinema was part of the Heritage Weekend, and what we did was Howard, who's one of our volunteers, Howard Greenwood, he's also part of Pendle Movie Makers, and they have a massive archive of films that they've all been doing over the years from the local area. So we had a collection of films that were all from Brayfield. So we had Brayfield Ladies' Day Out, 1959, a People's Carnival, which I think was 1963, and we just had them on a loop showing during the day. But there was a massive interest in terms of coming down and experiencing it, not just from a heritage point of view, but getting to see old films on a big screen with some good sound, and in a purpose-built space, really. And we had just about 200 people in, looking at actually came into the cinema bit, sat down and watched the films, and loved it. Got some great feedback about being able to see it, and it just bringing back memories. So it was a good way to start the whole pop-up cinema process, I think. Creating the cinema, we kind of had a range of different ideas of how to do it. One was to literally build wooden walls and contain it within the columns in the mill. But in the end, sometimes as budgets do, we found quite a cheap, innovative way of doing it and used pallet plastic wrap. It took us a morning, myself and Stephen, to wrap all the columns in a certain way. We found items on site because it's because it's kind of a building site at the moment. We found some old doorways out of fencing that we've used, and then literally wrapped them together to create the space. And then using muslin, which was woven here at the mill, we've got a big roll of it left. We created a bit of a roof to the structure to try and help with the sound a little bit, because the echo is quite big in the space. So we've just used all the materials found on site apart from the pallet wrap, and it's cost, I think so far it's only cost about 200 quid to do all that, to actually create the space. And the floor paint as well. We found a full tin of floor paint here. It wasn't just quite enough to do the floor space. So we had to buy another tin, but literally 90% of the materials have all just been found on site. So yeah, so it's kind of finished it off. The site manager Paul has now just built as a light to light up the name of the cinema, which is the Grand Unit 5 Social Cinema, drilling out holes. So it just sparks on the next idea. What do we do next? So it kind of snowballs really into what the space can hold. I mean, the best thing about the project so far is that we've created a space, but to be able to have access to borrow the quality of equipment through Cinema for All is amazing. The projector is incredible. It's, you know, we've tried things in the past with little data projectors which work, but it's just a different league when you switch that one on and get the brightness of it and the scale of it and the size of the screen and the sound. It definitely has a massive impact really. It makes it feel much more like a proper cinema, you know. So it's great to be able to access that now.